Thank you for joining us. My name is Celine Wu, and I'm a research analyst at Lazard Asset Management. Today, we will be exploring trends in demographics and their impact on discretionary spending. And at the end, I will discuss which sectors stand to benefit in the long term. Since the end of World War II, wealth creation and redistribution of upward income mobility has led to lower fertility rates, lower birth death ratios, and increased life expectancy. As you can see on this chart, this has led to a structural change in demographics as the global population pyramid is flattening. Today, we're at the crossing point of peak youth. In other words, the world has more people older than 30 years old than younger. The aging global population trend is structural, and this will only accelerate as more emerging market countries climb the wealth curve and eventually follow the demographic characteristics of their developed peers. According to Bank of America Merrill Lynch, the proportion of the population over 65 years old is expected to average more than 26% globally by 2050. Why does this matter? Because in the face of increased longevity, people will need to structurally change their discretionary spending behavior in order to accommodate a longer life expectancy. We believe that if we can identify how spending dynamics change, we can specify attractive opportunity sets that can positively determine investment returns. In this presentation, we will primarily focus on two major demographic cohorts to discuss this. The first group is the retiree population, and the second is the replacement population. The retiree population comprises of predominantly the baby boomers, in finance often referred to as the silver economy. As we discussed earlier, the size of this population is rapidly growing. And more importantly, these retirees are the world's predominant asset owners. In the US, for example, baby boomers and their parents, the silent generation, which together make up the demographic cohort that was born from 1928 to 1945, own more than 75% of the country's total net worth. Besides, as a result of the increased longevity, we believe that intergenerational wealth transfer will continue to stall. This allows for greater spending power for longer for the oldest generations. So, how are the spending dynamics changing for the retirees? And what do we expect in terms of the implications for investment opportunities? What market segments stand to gain the most from this structural long-term trend? The retiree population represents serious spending power and will have growing needs and preferences to live a long, healthy life with a stable stream of income. Healthcare is the most obvious place to start. Companies in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries, as well as assisted living and general healthcare solution providers for the elderly are standing to benefit because there's a real difference between growing old and living a long, healthy, productive life. For similar reasons, we think wellness and beauty industries have strong demand tailwinds. For example, companies that offer anti-aging cosmetic products or dietary supplements are major beneficiaries from the growing silver economy. In addition, retirees flush with free time will drive a continuously growing demand for full-service travel and leisure activities. While the demand in this particular segment has recently been decimated due to COVID-19, we believe the structural tailwinds remain, and travel demand will eventually recover as the world learns how to navigate and recover from this global health crisis. Lastly, the retiree population will need to ensure a stable income stream to fund a longer life. This is a great news for financial services companies offering products and services in wealth management, insurance, and financial advisory. Now, let's move on to the replacement population. the demographic group currently represented by the centennials and millennials were often called as a Generation Z and Y. This demographic cohort will represent more than 80% of the global workforce within the next decade and implies a steep income growth curve. Additionally, the significant income growth will primarily come from emerging markets as these countries climb the wealth curve. The blue bubbles in the chart indicate the countries where Generation Z and Y represent over 50% of the labor force. The size of the bubbles corresponds to the total population. We're expecting a long runway for growth in emerging markets, and this will make a transformative influence on consumption spending changes of a Generation Z and Y. For example, Gen Z and Y are digital natives with extremely high social media awareness and engagement levels. Therefore, companies that provide digital products, services, and technologies will be the most obvious opportunity set. We have a number of examples such as e-commerce, m-commerce, digital streaming services, social media, smart devices, gaming, and augmented and virtual reality applications. Even in a seemingly deflationary world, millennials and centennials intuitively understand that they need to grow their income and assets faster in the face of increased longevity. Their desire for financial security from a young age and their preference for cost-efficient, mobile, agile financial services have created various types of data-driven, innovative fintech companies. The main examples include robo-advisors, mobile asset management offerings, peer-to-peer internet-based lending companies, and digital payment operators. Meanwhile, Gen Z and Y are stressing their income development phase in life further and further before household formation sets in. People get married and have kids much later in life. This bodes well for aspirational consumption, such as high turnover, affordable luxury products, and asset-light, experience-focused travel and leisure businesses. Lastly, this demographic cohort is more than willing to pay up for a healthy lifestyle. We think companies that offer healthy lifestyle products and services, such as athleisure, organic or plant-based nutrition food companies, and exercise-related businesses, can offer a great investment opportunity to benefit from the increasing longevity trend. We believe a close study of the generational changes from the inevitably shifting global population mix can give the long-term investor a unique multidimensional view of opportunity. Understanding the fastest growing age cohorts, their needs and desires can help us reasonably forecast and identify likely demand for novel products and services. But more than that, we think it can pinpoint the geographies most likely receptive to them. Finally, we think there are some clear sectors, including healthcare, consumer tech, and financial services that will benefit from the baby boomer, millennial, and centennial generations. We believe that identifying companies that offer products, services, and technologies that are materially and beneficially exposed to the dynamics of consumer spending behavior presents an attractive investment opportunity in the long term.